create that kind of a health or a longevity, a functional perspective so people can live without having the whole last half of their lives be about decline.
Right. And I've moved more taking care of younger patients because at some point you get to where you have to start to intervene sooner and sooner.
Right.
And I've realized that intervention really has to occur 30 years old, 25 years old, somewhere in that range, because we're really at our peak around 20, 25 years old. And then the interventions need to begin to occur just after that peak when our growth hormone and estrogen and testosterone and all of our peptides begin to decrease in presence. We need to see all of those things. We need to address all of those deficiencies as they occur rather than waiting until you're 80. I started out practicing with geriatrics because I love them and they're so sweet.
Sure.
But I realized that in order to do the kind of things I wanted to do, I have to intervene earlier. And I can't wait until patients get sick to show up at my door.
Yeah,
I have to say, I need to see you every month. You have to be in my office. We need to have a conversation. We need to redraw your blood at a period as well so that I'm keeping an eye on everything that's happening as it goes, and we can intervene before it becomes a problem.
Yeah, beautiful. I started doing that with my kids. When my son, for example, wasn't even 3 years old, he used to love to help me do raw juicing of fruits and vegetables. He called himself the musher man. He loved to take the carrots and go, beets. He just loved that. And so here he is. He's a physician now in Mississippi at the hospital in Jackson. And he said, "This is really hard for me, Dad." And I said, "Son, what's so hard for you?" And he said, "Dad, I take care of people. I save their lives, and then they're back in 2 weeks, 3 months, 6 months with the same problem." And so he said, "It's really frustrating for me to see that we have the power to save people's lives, but we're not taking care of core health issues that would alter the behavior of people so that they could live the quality of lives that they have potentially access to." And that's what I love about what we do so much is we're looking at how to maximize, how to optimize somebody's ability to function. And I'm going to make a comment here, Suzanne. I don't want to be political with what I'm going to say. I'm not going to have a political conversation with you. I'm not going to have a bureaucratic conversation with you. I'm just going to say briefly, it was very dissatisfying to me that the government, Fauci, for example, one of our health leaders, never talked about early in the pandemic to take really good care of yourselves. And that, I'm sure that really bothered you. It really bothered me.
So the first time I heard, forgive me, what's the name of our Surgeon General?
Ooh.
I can't remember.
That's okay.
Anyway, he came on. The first time I heard him come on and say anything about the pandemic, this is, of course, March, probably last year. The first words out of his mouth were nothing about COVID.
Yeah.
He said, smoking takes more lives every year than he spouted out some statistics.
Right.
It was brilliant.
Yes.
I was standing up and applauding and cheering in my living room, hearing him say that because the whole time I was thinking, we have to be telling people they have to take care of their bodies. We can't be telling them to just hunker down and wait for the vaccine. We have to be telling them they have to take care of themselves. Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting a little political.
No, that's okay. It's okay. Where I was going with this is that when you understand the power of functional and integrated medicine, you realize that ultimately it's the most powerful thing we have. And what's interesting, and I don't want to go too much further than this, but is that the people who took really great care of themselves had an extremely low death rate related to COVID. My son was mentioning, because he lives in Jackson, Mississippi, that I want to say that it's the most obese area in the country per capita in the United States. And he said, "Dad, this is insanity." He said, "I watched whole families die in our COVID ICU unit in the course of 1 or 2 weeks. Literally, whole families die." And there were certain things he noticed. They were all obese. They all lived off of sugar, alcohol, these kinds of things. Horrible. Didn't eat vegetables.
Salt.
Refined, bleached white, refined salt. They didn't do anything to take care of themselves. Now, and this is about as far as I want to go with this, is all of the research now indicates that if you're a diabetic, if you're obese, if you're somebody that you produce too much insulin, or your your blood sugar is out of control, you're going to be at a dramatic increased risk of dying, not only from COVID, but any kinds of pathogens. And I just want to say that for the record, it's just disappointing that nobody went there, because I think had we done that, I think there'd be far less than 500,000 people that would have died. Yeah. You agree with me on this?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did hear several respected colleagues in functional medicine talk about it, but of course they were on small venues. They weren't on national news.
Right.